Hello and welcome to week 16, starting in Libra, our first week in Libra, and here we are. Look at that moon, right, with that sun. Gemini, should be Cancer. Coming up for that full moon, it's going to be hitting Cancer. Not quite full yet. What's today, the 9th? Mercury. Still, well, I guess Mercury, yeah, technically on his way out, but still closer to Taurus than to, is that Pollux? Castor, sorry, Castor. Working his way to Castor's toe. Sun. Still, now Pollux has got the sun in his gut. Still not near Cancer. Where's Mars? Mars still working. Venus still working her way. Look how close they are together. Now Mars is technically invisible. Look at right into the mouth of Leo, but he's not going to hit the mouth of Leo, I don't think. But they're give him a couple more days. I wonder how long it takes to bridge that gap, right? But I sort of think of once they've hit the midpoint, then they're out of Mars, Cancer energy into Leo energy, right? Everybody else kind of where we left them. Love it. But yeah, it's that Sun in Gemini. We should still have. Look at me get lost. There we got Aries. Can't see. They can't show sometimes when it's below, when it's right at the horizon line. Yeah. Oh, there's Alrisha. Oh, it's because I got highlighted from before. Okay, but anyway. Okay, so of course I forgot to fix the focus back for this part, so I'm going to re-record. So now we're back. Here we are. So in Embassy Compound, coming from Pisces cruise ship. So the paperwork, the red tape that's already prepped when you're getting off a cruise ship and leading you into a very restricted environment where you have to be fully identifiable. And at this point you would absolutely need that gene therapy passport. We won't call it a vaccine passport because it's not actually a vaccine. You've the Monsanto Roundup seal of approval is what you'd need. But yeah, absolutely, you're going to be from somewhere. Now, is this going to be a compound that you belong to, for a country you belong to, or somebody else's country? And what do we know about multinationals and the fact that countries are actually even a bit of a pipe dream right now? Not that we were all on board with them to start with, but identity, citizenship, citizenship, yes. Now, so in terms of looking month at a glance, we have, now Mercury still, it was supposed to be direct in Gemini already, according to God, what am I trying to say? The charts that I was using. Let's just leave it at that for now. But we see that he's still not. Mercury's still not. She's still not there. Still just leaving Taurus. So give it a few more days. Maybe at the same time as this new moon in Cancer. And we have a near new moon in Gemini right now. So maybe they're moving together. Next week, we'll see if the sun actually does enter Cancer on the 16th or not. Whether Venus hits Leo on the 17th or not, and whether Mars hits Leo on the 21st or not. And then we have what might be a split Capricorn Aquarius full moon. It says Aquarius full moon, but it might be a split, because we can't just go for, because Aquarius is not directly opposite Cancer. So something's either we have a split Cancer Leo or a split Cappy Aquarius. Now we do have that thing of that there are 13 full moons, right? 13 moon cycles to a year. So it is going to go wonky according to everything else at times. They're not completely in sync, right? So it could be that, and I just need to shut up and get over it. Mercury hitting Cancer. So Mercury is supposed to make its way all the way through Gemini in the time that we are in Libra, studying Libra. We'll find out. Libra's house, 7th house. And then, right near in the final week of it, Lionsgate portal opens, leading up to the 8/8, which will be at the end of that week in the next month. But yes, it opens on the 26th. So that Sirius lining up with the pyramids, which normally is Aldebaran that starts the year by lining up with them, is the thought, at least by Cyril Fagan and by others, that's how the pyramids are meant to line up with Aldebaran and Taurus for the start of the year. So bear that in mind. Now, re-recording this and getting into, there was a significant event that just happened this past week that is tied probably to Libra for me, but I'm going to get into it. I decided I'd get into it when I go back through the photo journal for the month and explain it then. It's tied to the screenwriter Bruce Rubin, who wrote Jacob's Ladder and Ghost, amongst others. And my son got me to watch Jacob's Ladder this past week, and now Rubin was also mentored by a Jewish convert to certain schools of Vedic teachings, and he became known as Rudy. And I actually really like what he's writing, so I've got my kid to order, my son, who's an adult. We're getting the screenplay for Jacob's Ladder, and there's stuff that when I was watching it, I ended up blown away by it. And it's like, how did this guy, whoever wrote this, how much prep did they put into it? Because it seems like it had to be a lot, but on the other hand, it could have been completely intuitive, as if he had a lucid dream and then woke up and wrote it down. And everything that I went through in describing, and I've got to make better note of it than that, and I'm going to. It hit me so hard, and we went and researched it. And if you go to the Wikipedia pages, it describes, you would have a hard time believing that I didn't read that first and then say everything that I said. But I said it all ahead of that. And I was like, if we could find out the process that he went through, it would be fascinating. Normally, you don't get too much process explained about behind films and things like that, amazingly enough. Not the way I'm looking for it, not in the writing process. You do from script writers that want to make an audience for themselves and get recognition, but no. And then it turns out that Rubin also wrote the screenplay for the very first movie I ever took my son to the theater to watch, and that just had me bawling my eyes out. Ghost came out the year just before my mom died, and now it validates, you know, my work, of course, anybody's work that is an intermediary for murder victims. Not that I knew it at the time. And what hits hard as well is that the investigation I was doing into the death of Sloan Bella's son, Keith, last July, not long after, Sloan actually channeled Patrick Swayze. If you go to that video, it's huge. I left a comment under it at the time, but that actually spurred me to start being, to start putting my stuff into the Keith Bella Crime Pursuit Facebook page. It spurred me on to sharing what I thought I knew about what possibly happened. So very strong ties to, I feel particularly this Rudy, who was the mentor to Rubin, the writer. And Rudy happened to die in a plane crash. 3 others in the plane survived, but he did not. A plane crash in the Catskills, and he was age 45. Now, it might be a cover-up job, it might be they retired, it might be, you know, but I really like, see, he had a history in textiles. He grew up earning income and getting training in textile engineering, but also in a fabric store, in a textile store. And I spent 7.5 years in one go, and several months as a student in a fabric store. And I knew I knew I was fated to a certain fabric store. I made a return journey to it, and that's how I made my escape, was earning the money that I earned and the credit that I earned and the leveraging that I got from that job. And so it hits on so many levels that almost incapacitated. And for me, that is on top of all my other things that have gone on with the spirit world. That's really saying something. I had another, because Carol Lindley totally already had me, and Gallico again. By the end of the Pisces, the end of the water story, but the end of Pisces cruise ship journey, she ties into Hampstead. She was in, the Bunny Lake film, Otto Preminger, and Otto Preminger, his brother Ingo Preminger, ties to Bruce Rubin, yes. So this net, it's just, the photo diary is going to be fascinating this month. So this is how I'm experiencing. Yes, I won't read this all out since I went through that paragraph. I won't read this all out about my personal connections to 7th, because we already know enough about me. We need to know about you. How Virgo and Scorpio energies attach, absolutely, because my Pluto is in Virgo as well as my North Node. I brought the aspects work in again, that I described in part A of this week's videos. This is part B. I eventually couldn't avoid doing the aspect work, the mathematical work, and looking into the quincunxes. Again, quincunxes and quintiles and biquintiles are what brought me into understanding and dealing with the terms and the qualities of the mathematical aspects. And so those affect all this. My son, the person, my son. Yes, I'll avoid naming him, but anyway, this he has a Virgo sun. He is a Libra with a Virgo sun. He was a Leo rising. He is a Leo rising. But this season, I will mention that this season starts with the birthday of the woman who was the girl that I was looking after so much as a babysitter before I went off to university. And when I went off to university, and I went to university only because I wanted to be living in Prince Edward Island, because I had adapted myself to the identity of Anne Shirley. Not completely. I knew there were parts of me that did not match parts of her, but fundamentally, from age 14, I knew I was going to be making my break for Prince Edward Island, for Green Gables, and planned accordingly. But it starts with the birthday. The season starts with the birthday of her, and about halfway through, not quite, yeah, about halfway through, hits the birthday of my son. And then after that, the birthday of his father, who sued me for 6 years over him. And so, very strong Libra experiences, but also the haunting of the personal conscience haunting of the girl that I left behind. And figuring out why and what could be done about it. I did reconnect with her a bit later on, but there's still resolution that needs to, you can't necessarily resolve it, right? You can't necessarily resolve, not in this life necessarily, but who knows? Who knows? It would be interesting to see if there's something more projected for that. But it had a lot to do with the leaving her without, I did it as well as I could. I prepped her as well as I could, but I was, yeah, the children that her mother looked after adore her, as opposed to the daughter who disowned her, and rightfully so. She was a very abusive mother, and she hates me from the other side. Absolutely, she hates me from the other side. Don't you, Thelma? And that's, I'm okay with that. I like Scorpio likes things to be clean and clear. Let's not try to pretend anything that isn't. And so Memories, absolutely. Feelings, experience with breathing, yes, I've got stories there. But then we get into, you know, the season, how it affects everybody, what the weather's like, and how events, of course, it's filled with events for me. The birth chart with which houses are in there, so all my king and queen energy. What did I... Yes, because the birthday of the girl I spent the most time babysitting, who I'll always feel I abandoned by going off to university. I wasn't ready for feeling that guilt and loss, right? At age 19, you're not ready to feel the guilt of abandoning someone. How many of us end up feeling it though? Probably a lot. But it steered me towards pregnancy, right? The 5 of Cups. But even more than 5 of... Well, there's guilt attached to 5 of Cups, absolutely. And so how much of that was fated to make sure that I did end up pregnant? Because my chart, my 12th house has everything to do with making sure that that my son was born. And so it's finally totally clicking in now that I know my 12th house was mostly about my contract with my son. So exactly how on point it was to have that relationship with her. I had many children I was looking after. And then after that, when I came back, I was out there for 2 years, and when I came back pregnant, then I ended up looking after children again. I was, running a church nursery. Sorry about that. Love Jesus, but we can get rid of the church for sure, for all that it's guilty of. And yeah, running the nursery, and eventually, teaching Sunday school as well, and all the same old. But I'm in King and Queen energy all through this season, in all my houses, and all my King and Queen houses. And so working on how they're affected by 7th and planet placements. My Uranus is placed here, my North Node, of course, Pluto, and my Neptune. And then we know from the other houses that once that overlap hits between the season and the constellation of Libra, right? We know that that's going to be primarily for 7th house interests, but as they trickle down through the houses that you're in when you're in there. But absolutely, it's going to have something to do with negotiations, for sure. So it'll be interesting to see when we reach that part of the year. I said I'll come back and make notes here of what happens. Okay, so then that's it for this. So why don't we do our monthly predictive reading. Get the cards out here, and I'll just start. I think what I'll do is I'll press pause and press start again, and we'll have a full 12 minutes. Okay. So let's see here. I haven't touched these cards since the last month, so I'll just breathe into them a little bit. Speaking of breathing, and see if we can get just one card this time. Because last time it faked out on me, didn't it? And gave me 2 anyway. Okay, where are we in our story? One more. Okay, split. There we go. Want the one on top. Yes. What do we have? The Empress. Well, that seems like a happy thing, and especially since Venus rules Libra, that's nice. So the future will bring healing and respite for your emotional and physical wounds. Your investments will pay off if you carefully tend to them. Okay. I like money talk right now. I absolutely do. Okay. Now, we might not be speaking financially at all, of course, because one thing is submitting our will to her will, to God's will. Let me get, and this, God, they're just, I've got one deck on top of another deck because I'm crammed for space. Do you think I can get all these cards together at once? No. Okay. I've shuffled them already. Thank God for that. Let's see. Just a few cards for this month. Stuck energy. Page of Swords, knowing and not knowing. Gemini energy. Okay. Stay optimistic. Can you put them back in the deck? No, it matters. Because we need to know. We need to know. Well, okay, so that's nice. No, it's not. It's the Seven of Wands. Okay. Seven of Wands. Leo energy. Lionsgate energy. Transformation. Now then, let's just pause for this Page of Swords, who's guided, who likes to be underestimated. Now, it's either he's potentially underestimating himself, herself, their self. There's something that they're not clear about. There's something that's not known. Another page. So movement is stuck here, but we have forward movement here. Aries energy, first house energy. So the Ace, the 2, the 3, the 4 of Wands. So we're starting out on something. Dear Lord, Jupiter, stuck. The wheel is stuck. Why is the wheel stuck? We're going to find out. Okay. So that'll affect both 9th house and 12th house, Pisces and Sagittarius, because it co-rules Pisces, co-rules the 12th house. And you see how it's again, you know, it's opposing this knave. So they're again, you know, not working against each other, but they're in opposite directions to each other. I've got a 2 of Wands that's kind of slapping out upside down, but I'm going to put it back in. So probably the emphasis is on this transformation. And since it's a lot of will, okay, it's on a 45-degree angle. Okay, I'm going to leave it right where it is. And we have that turn of the wheel there. Okay, so completion, Saturn. So there's some boundaries. There's a calculated risk possibly that's got you worried. One more card, and then or maybe not. Maybe not. You know what? I'm going to leave it there. I am. Because it's not like I ever make sense of these readings at the time because I'm too involved in them. And it comes clear to me, well, Pisces only came clear to me by the end of the month. And I'm okay with that, just making me work for it. It stretches me. We don't go with too many assumed. It's always, I know it's nice to come off as an expert all the time, but since we are in exploration mode, scientific mode, we can see how these cards play out without my having colored them with interpretation too much. And I think that's why. That's why she gives me a lack of clarification, yeah? Because, well, you know, it should be coming through to me clearly because she's speaking to me. Okay, so final. No, I'm going to shuffle once more just to be clear. It wanted the top card, and I'm not sure that that wasn't just me. Okay. Okay. Death. What is it time to release? Is it anger, pride, or ego? Is it attachment, suffering, and pain? Be free and burn the rest on the pyre. Could be like that, is it? Just because we have that new moon in Cancer. The purge, the purge, the purge. So, Venus energy and basically Pluto, Mars, Scorpio energy. We have Taurus, Taurus, of course, Libra's own energy here. Career energy. And faith journeys, but also philosophy, healing, and if we go to Pisces, then we're looking at muse energy, but also free will and soul contract energy again. So if we put the emphasis on this Seven of Wands, this transformation here, and we have a pyre here that is burning absolutely. So the death is speaking to this Page of Swords. Interesting. Okay. So we will find out as we go. We will find out as we go. All right. And next week is... that's where we get into the constellation and the sign of Libra. Isn't it not? Is it not? Yes. Yes, it is. Okay. Very good. Very good. Air energy. We do have the air energy. It's Gemini energy, but it is stuck. And the fire energy wants to take action. Okay. Investments, investments, investments. So in order to, yeah, there's time involved. If we're speaking of those investments, yes. So we've got some ways to go. Like this, wasn't it? But it's in progress. And that will turn the wheel. But the Seven of Wands is what turns the world and turns the wheel. Okay. What more can I say about Seven of Wands? Again, creative energy, possibly expressive energy. Maybe because this guy is holding back, this guy's not, right? And so that initiation. Healing and respite. I think we're looking past the need. We have to get over the need right now. We have to push it back for heal. Like we need to know that it's coming, but not get caught wanting it right now. Like knowing that it has its time. But if we're looking for it right now, we'll miss the boat. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. Because this is all about that pain and that healing that's needed, right? So burn it now. And then, you know, and if that means that the next world will solve it, the next world, not this one, so be it. But anyway, I won't interpret more than that. We will watch and make notes. Okay, back next week. Right now I'm doing house readings for everybody. And so that might be helpful as well. And much love. Thank you.